Hi, welcome to Sportsy. Let's talk sports. It is so fun to talk to different athletes and looking at different kind of art and art form of sports and sports form of art. We have had artistic gymnast on a platform. We had freestyle on a platform, and today we have somebody who is India's first ever international competition winner. She is a silver medalist at PSO Libra Pole Championship, and yes, you heard me right. This pole championship, which is one of the big art form of sports in the world, and we have recently read that it is expected to be in the Olympics as well. So yes, we have a girl who comes from non-sporting background, who comes from journalism and mass media background, worked as a journalist for 10 to 12 years with various newspapers like Maharashtra Herald, Sakal Times, Femina Pune, Times of India, Indian Express. Her master's of arts and journalism and mass communication from Griffith University, Australia. She also got a foray into footwear designing. She has done her footwear designing from London College of Fashion. She had her own footwear brand, and for recently, she became a hotelier. She has a restaurant called Rabbit's Burrow, Mr. Rabbits in Pune. We have a versatile personality with us who has suddenly become an amazingly fitness enthusiast and now somebody at the international level from India, first ever pole champion from India, Nupur Chaudhuri. Thank you for liking, thank you for sharing, and thank you for watching. Please do subscribe on our channel, Sportsy Says, and help us spread the word about Sportsy. We are trying various ways to get more and more visibility towards sports and a very ecosystem of sports. Please follow Sportsy Says across all the social media platforms. Help us spread the word about Sportsy. Let's talk sports. Do subscribe to Sportsy Says. Hey, hi Nupur. Great to have you on Sportsy. Let's talk sports.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here. I'm really looking forward to our chat.
Yes, and believe me, Nupur, it is. I'm looking forward to this chat so much because we had a art form of sports. This is the only a third guest who is coming on a show who is an art form of sport. We had a freestyler footballer from
Right.
Pune. We had
Wow.
artistic gymnast from Hyderabad. She competed in the Asian Championship, and now we have somebody like who
Yes.
clearly says, I have no sporting background. I was the most non athletic person while growing up, but now you are a silver medalist in the World Championship in pole sports.
Yes, yes. And I'm super excited to have achieved this. Honestly, I'm over the moon right now.
Yeah,
So,
believe me, first we have only heard of Mallakhamb sitting here, but
yes,
but something like this and getting to represent India and getting a silver medal on that platform at the Libra Championship, I think this is phenomenal. Kudos to you.
thank
Our viewers have already watched your championship video before we even started this chat.
you.
So amazing to have you here, Sonupur. So looking for next 20-25 minutes of full of energy,
Yes,
full of art form of sport. So
yes,
as you said, you never played any sport while growing up, but you are a mass comm journalism student from Griffith, Australia.
correct.
Worked in the media industry for 13 years, started
Yes,
a footwear brand of your own. And we know the amazing place, Mr. Rabbit, which is amazing lounge and restaurant in Pune.
thank
And
you.
from there to four poles and pole sports. How did it happen?
So, I started journalism when I was just 16. I got into the field very early. So while others were going to college and attending classes, I was busy working and, chasing articles and writing stories and stuff. The college was very understanding, thankfully. So I knew that journalism is something I wanted to pursue as a career. So obviously I did my master's in it and continued working. And, but, throughout, I always felt like there was something that I was searching for, that I needed to find that would be my own, like a passion. So obviously, I had seen pole dancing videos. I'd seen Demi Moore and striptease, and that was more the exotic dance
Yes.
style. And I was like, wow, like this is something that maybe I would love to try someday. But that thought, sort of evaporated. And when it came back, I remember calling this pole teacher in Bombay. And I was sitting at my desk at Pune Times when I called her. Okay, I had some
Mm.
time off, and she said, "I'll come to Pune and you find me 10 students. Find a place where I can put up poles and I'll teach." Now I asked my friends, and everyone was like, "What is this? Pole dancing or whatever? We don't want to do it." So that sort of fizzled out because I couldn't do that. Then after I quit my job and I started my own footwear label, I had more time for myself. So I again checked, is there another teacher in Bombay, or what can be done? So I found another teacher in Malad, and she said, yeah, you just come in for a class. So my mom came along with me for my first pole class. We drove to Bombay. I did the 1 hour class and drove back. And the minute I touched the pole and did my first spin, I knew this was it. Like I had fallen in love with it.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and my mom loved it as well. And my mom said, you must continue and must learn because it's so beautiful to watch. And she's sitting there. She could see that it is not easy, to do this. So she was like, you must pursue this. So I convinced a friend of mine, Chitra, to come along with me. So we would go every Sunday, drive 3.5 hours, do the 1 hour class, and drive back in bliss that, yo, we learned something new today. So, yeah, that went on for like a few months, like I think about 3 months, 2 or 3 months. Unfortunately, I had a pole injury on my right wrist. So I couldn't continue classes. And then obviously my hand was plastered, and then I needed physiotherapy. And in the meanwhile, Mr. Rabbits also started. So I got busy there. So that's when I sort of phased out my footwear, work, because I couldn't focus too much on it, and I couldn't give
Mm.
it my 100%. And it took me a year to recover from my injury with the right
Oh wow.
physiotherapy. getting my strength back, because like I told you, I don't have any sports background. So for me, that injury was like, my life is over. Like, how am I going to deal with it? Because I couldn't understand why this has happened to me.
Hmm.
I didn't have that much knowledge of our body parts, of the strain that, they go through and everything, of how it's so important to get the right form, the right technique when you're, doing a fitness form or an art form like pole. So it took me a year, and in that time, I was also pretty demotivated. I would look at the pole in my room and tell my husband, just take it down. I don't think I can ever do this again. But he just told me, I'm going to leave it up there, and you are going to look at it and tell yourself that you're going to get back to this, because he knew how much I loved it when I was doing it. So that really helped my confidence. And when I felt my wrist was okay and I could sort of, lift sort of heavy weights in the gym again, that's when I told him I want to do this, more seriously now. So I took a month off and I went to Dubai to stay and learn just pole. So I went to Pole Fit Dubai,
Hmm.
and yeah, that's where I sort of again started from the basics and built my foundation moves, and yeah, progressed from there, and fell in love all over again with this sport. Yeah.
Wow, what a journey! And believe me, when you said my mom came with me for my first class, that is exactly how the sporting journey starts. When you're 5 years
Really?
old, 6 year old, when
Oh yeah,
the
correct.
and yeah,
Yeah,
and yes, I've known Ashwin as well, and you both have set a lot of fitness goals for each other, and been into
yeah,
a good fitness regime. And this is also a thing, is not the mental toughness is more important than the
yes,
physical one for you to come out of the such kind of injuries.
absolutely.
But it's so good, and it is good to have a support in the whole system when you're doing through the whole craziness, and the athletes go through day in and day out.
Yeah,
And when you are mixing art and sports together, I think you have the fight between your heart and head. It's like creative, and
exactly,
so it's
exactly.
it's so so good to hear that. But now tell me, I have one question for the Indian users or Indian sorry, for to the Indian from the Indian listeners that we have.
Yeah,
Yes, as you said, the pole was more towards the westernized world. It was more towards exotic considered, but it converted into
correct.
sport. There's a international pole sports federation which is trying
Yes.
to get which is working towards getting pole into Olympics, and we hope that in 2024 Paris it will be at, if not at competition level, but at least at the exhibition level it can start.
Yeah,
That is the
I hope
foundation.
so.
But how do you think that it can actually relate to people in India, because Indian people have seen only Mallakhamb?
Exactly. So,
So
um,
how is similar and different than Mallakhamb and the typical gymnastics that we have seen on the Mallakhamb?
yeah. So, I can now speak about this because I also started Mallakhamb, and I had been learning it before the lockdown. So, I personally believe there are different schools of thought on this, but I personally believe that pole definitely has its roots in Mallakhamb, because the moves are so similar. The tricks, the way to get into them, the deadlifting, everything is it's very similar. So I believe that it possibly started from here, and then in the West, it is the strippers who, sort of, made it more public and more accessible to
Yeah.
people, and they got to know about pole over there. But, the kind of muscles you use, the overall body workout that it is extremely similar between pole and Mallakhamb. So for me, Mallakhamb was relatively easier than someone who was just starting it,
Yes.
new, because I had my pole background, and so they sort of complemented each other. So, I would try out my pole moves on the Mallakhamb pole, and vice versa. Whatever I would learn in class, I would come and try it on the pole. Obviously, the thickness of the pole is different, and the Mallakhamb, I feel, um, is slightly tougher in the sense, they do some crazy moves right on top of
On
the
top,
pole,
yeah, when you go in
yeah,
up, yeah.
which is like really advanced level. And it's also people who've been doing it for years. They started as children when they're 6 years old, and
Yeah.
now they're doing this amazing stuff. So I definitely feel, if not pole, but if people should put their kids in Mallakhamb classes when they are younger, to build overall body confidence, body strength, and be able to compete and represent the country. We now have Russians and Japanese doing Mallakhamb. I have Russian pole dancers and Japanese pole dancers who are doing Mallakhamb. And I'm like, it's our people also who need to put this sport out there. We need to
Yes,
show the
exactly.
world what Mallakhamb is. And and combine the two and do something crazy with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can combine these two and come up with a new sport altogether. And
Yeah.
India
Yeah.
has done
It'll
that.
be so
Yeah. So,
it'll be so
but
amazing to see.
exactly, it will be so amazing because we have seen Mallakhamb has so much of, as you say, elegance or nazakat when it happens, and obviously now the pole sports we are talking about, there is so much of elegance in the whole thing.
Exactly.
So you have your own studio called Four Poles because you started with four poles, and when we
Yes.
usually say that any good building will have, or any good found structure will have four poles as a foundation. So I think it's
Yes.
the name itself has worked pretty well. Do you think that you can start the Mallakhamb there as well and attract the both sides of the story generations?
I would love to. So my space is more like a home studio. It's actually a tinier space. I wish I had a higher ceiling where I could, get Malakam and get like one of my teacher possibly to come and teach, or get people more introduced to Malakam. But yeah, at some point in the future, if I do expand, I would love to combine the two and get people to, explore the possibilities of movement with these two poles, because you are twisting and turning your body against a vertical
Yeah,
pole, and you're fighting gravity, and you're doing crazy tricks. And I think everyone needs to experience this at least once in their lifetime, about what the human body can do, what it can,
exactly.
yeah, achieve.
Exactly. So, okay. So, a question to you is, how much of this sport that you do is for you being a unisex internationally? Because we are not aware of more information on this. So, I think it will be
Correct.
good for to hear from you
Yeah.
about how much of it is unisex actually.
Pole is completely for both men and women. Both can absolutely do pole. In fact, before the lockdown and even through the lockdown, I've had so many inquiries from men who want to come and learn, which is, it's very heartening, because they're now understanding that this is not just, I'm not just going and shaking my body around a pole. No, I am
Yeah,
doing something that requires so much strength, so much technique, so much form, so much mind body coordination. So they're understanding and appreciating this over here. And abroad, there are so many male polars. In fact, I have a list who I want to go and train with. Hopefully, when travel is possible, I can. There are so many Russian polars who I want to learn with. And there are so many of them who represent their own countries in the world championships.
okay.
In fact, one of my friends who I've had the good fortune to pole with at a pole camp in Thailand. His name is Ben. He's 50, but oh my God, he is so super. Yeah, and he represented Switzerland in the World Pole Championships, which were held in Canada
Wow.
last, and he won. So that was just a moment of pride for me, And whenever I meet guys, and I still, some will just joke, I can't pole dance and this is just for women. But, then I go to his profile on Instagram and I show them, like, look what he's doing. You'll be able to do this kind of stuff or more if you get into pole. And they're just amazed by it. So, and closer to home, I do teach my husband off and on. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, it takes him a little while to get used to the pole burns, because there is friction with your skin. So he just jumps off the pole when it's too much. But yeah, he's pretty amazed by the stuff I can do, and he does try a lot of cool stuff like shoulder mounts and pole flips and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's even joined Mallakhamb with me, so that's a good.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I've seen yours and Ashwin's pictures and the videos on the multiple activities. I think it is
Yes,
fun. I think it is something that is, you're taking a good effort to give good visibility, break the taboos it may
exactly.
have. At the
Yes,
same time, give an opportunity for people to consider take fitness at a different level, which they
yes,
can enjoy. It's like the way you go and dance about on Zumba classes, I think this is similar to that. It is you're
Exactly.
enjoying an art form of sport which actually makes you
Exactly.
fitter.
So there's one thing, like a lot of people wonder why we wear, like the clothes we wear on the pole. So since you spoke about, like it's like a Zumba class or whatever. So it's like a swimmer is going to wear a swimming costume when you're swimming.
Yes.
So this is pole wear because for the simple reason that you need your skin to grip the pole. If I wear
Exactly.
tights and I pole, I'm going to slip off that steel pole and injure myself, and for what? So you need more skin to grip poles, especially when you're doing advanced moves and more transitions. You have to be safe. So yeah, that's one
Yeah.
thing I really want to point out because uh,
Believe me, I think you made an amazing point, because that is something that it is not a skin show. It is not just to make it look exotic. It is
exactly,
actually there's a science to it which
exactly,
needs to grip while you're doing
exactly.
all the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course there is the other side, the exotic side of pole, which is quite amazing to me because I personally can't do
Yeah.
that. I can't wear those 11-inch heels and do the stuff they do. So I haven't tried either, but I'm just not drawn to that side of it.
Yeah.
I'm more attracted to the sporty and the fitness and a bit of the dancing, of course, which I do on the spinning pole.
Yeah.
But that's up to each individual, I feel, and
Exactly.
it's
And
it's
yeah.
like, yeah.
And I think
So
doing that, there's always in every culture, every place, there is something called transition, and I think you're making a transition happen. I think that is more
yes,
important toward the fitness and towards the goal. At the same time, as you said, right, the moment went and tried that 1 hour at the Malad class, and you thought this was it. I think
yes,
that is what you need to feel when you do anything on the ground, be it football, be it cricket, be it
correct,
swimming, be it anything. It's like, or
correct.
singing or dancing. It has to be.
Exactly, exactly. It has to
Yeah.
come from within. You have to feel that passion because you have to give it your everything, and you can't be forced to do it.
Yes.
Here I
Exactly.
get up every morning and I'm like, what do I want to try today? What do I want to do? So that it has to be like that.
So since you said that, I have my next question is, what
Yeah,
keeps you going to master this art and sport and make yourself better every day? What keeps you going on that? As you said, every
yeah,
morning I'm asking a question, what I'm going
yeah,
to do different, but what's the
exactly.
motivation?
So I think my motivation comes from what I've done the previous day and what I've achieved. Even if it's this small trick that I get, I am like this monkey jumping around with excitement that, oh my God, I managed to do that. If it's a pole split, an inversion, anything. So that sort of keeps me motivated that, oh my God, my body was able to do this. With zero background in sports, I used to sit on the side in school during sports class. Okay. I had a permanent excuse because I just couldn't take those rounds around the ground. So I'm coming from there. So, for me it just amazes me. And also when I pole I feel so free. I'm free of any other thought.
Mm.
Nothing. Everyone has ups and downs in their life, but this is I wouldn't say it's an escape, but this is the time for me where my mind is solely focused on me. I'm one with that pole, and it's like we both are creating magic, not for anyone else but for each other. So that is what keeps me going. And pole has given me so much confidence, so much I'm like so comfortable in my own skin. Now I don't care what other people think or what other people say. It does not matter to me because I feel so whole and complete because I found this for myself.
Yeah.
And that is what keeps me going, to get better and better and better, not to prove a point to anyone else, but just to do this for myself because it gives me so much happiness.
And believe me, you have proven a point by a silver medal at the World Championship.
Yes.
So that has already been done. There is no doubt about that. And believe me, from the start of the interview, I always there is a different kind of enthusiasm and the way you speak. But last a minute when you're answering this about how it feels, it was so
Yeah.
poetic and there's a twinkle in your eye, and it was
Oh.
so amazing to listen, see that, and hear about the whole thing. So when you spoke about the whole, it's your me time. It is about how you feel in the whole thing. You get completely focused.
Yeah.
Uh, and we know it is a upper body strength, and a lot of things are required doing this.
Yes,
But how
yes.
much of this game is this sport is mental, and how much of it is physical? When does the physical barrier breaks and the mental take over and just go to the zone?
Yeah. So, I would say it's like it's very equal, because if I am trying, it's not easy. Okay, pole is not easy, and as you advance and progress, it gets even tougher and tougher. So there are times, of course, that you get frustrated because there is something that your body cannot do at that particular time, and it needs a lot of practice. But that's where your mind comes in. That's where I talk to myself all the time when I'm training, because I need that. I need my brain to tell that part of my body that you have to work and you have to do this. And I think without that, and without that mind body coordination, it would be very difficult to continue progressing in this, because there are times that you want to give up, when you're trying certain things. Like, in fact, just the other day, I was trying the bird of paradise move on the pole. It's an inverted move, which requires ample amount of shoulder flexibility and leg flexibility and strength. So, and I failed, okay, but I didn't stop trying, and that is because my mind sort of, had made up my mind that I'm not going to stop, and obviously I'm going to spend this entire week or more, or stop and get back to it, because I know that I have to do it. So that's where the mind comes in. It pushes you, and I feel when I speak to my muscles, okay, it might sound funny, but I do speak to them to tell them to work, and without that, I don't think it would be possible to do half the things that I do on the pole.
uh, yes, and when you said I speak to my muscle, and believe me, that's a journey of an athlete, and they do that with the moment you become
Really?
professional. Yes, because that is called building the muscle memory, right? It's a different way of building
Correct.
the muscle memory. You have to make sure you do something around that, and
Correct.
it works, and it's a proven science. And there's one more thing. I don't know whether you do it or you might be
Yeah.
doing it. It's called visualization. Before even
Oh,
you enter, you
yes.
visualize the whole routine and
All the
then go there.
time. So when I'm sleeping, I don't get sleep because I'm tossing, turning, and only visualizing myself doing pole. And Ashwin has to like tell me, just go to sleep and stop thinking of pole right now. But this is something that someone, I think Ashwin only had told me. There's an example of this Russian guy, I think. He was sitting and he visualized himself, I don't know, exercising or doing squats or something like that, and it worked wonders on his body. Or yeah, I
And
don't remember it, but
yeah, so yeah, there are a lot of athletes. Like I was talking to Meghna, who is an artistic gymnast. So
correct,
she, before even getting onto the mat, she visualized the whole routine and then
correct.
gets onto the mat. And
Yeah.
even Nikhat, we had Nikhat on who is one of the top boxers in India.
Okay,
She said
okay.
that before even the bout, they visualize
Yeah.
so much that they themselves surprise it the kind of punch that they can actually
That
have,
they get.
which is
Yes, absolutely.
never been trained. They were never trained for that, but that just comes in because of visualization.
Yeah.
The huge power of
Yeah.
visualization that is
Yeah.
there.
The mind is so amazing, the stuff that it can do. It's like a miracle. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So Nupur, you as we just spoke about it, you won the silver at the PSO Libra Pole
Yes.
Championship, and
Yes.
you are still jumping around with the
Yes.
happiness. And there is a dreamlike journey here. But where do
Yes.
you go from here now?
So see, I did level 3 at the PSO comp. Level 3 is where you have to maintain 3 points of contact with the pole when you're inverted. So I hope that now I can prepare for level 4. Level 4 is where you maintain only 2 points of contact with the pole when you're inverted. So it is tougher, but I'm hoping next year I can possibly do it. Let's see if the universe conspires to make it happen. And yeah, hopefully aim for gold. Even if not gold, just to be able to participate and do it will be amazing for me. That's the attitude I want to go with. And yeah, I want to continue just learning and always being a student, because I think that is everything in life, to just acquire as much knowledge as you can. And this is my passion. So I just want to, be able to continue learning and continue pushing boundaries, pushing limits, and just going out there and doing my best. So that is my goal. Yeah.
Wow, and I think it's a great goal that keeps you pushing every time. But since we are on this topic, I just the thought came to my mind to ask this question. It's this cannot happen without music. You need to have music. I may be wrong. It may happen without music, but I think the
Yes.
music gives you the uplift and what you want to do. So, is there any favorite routine or favorite music that you have that you really follow, or it is something as per your mood?
Okay, so sometimes I poll with music, okay, but sometimes I poll with absolutely no music, but
Oh.
I'm humming it in my head. Like I know what song I want to, think, put on my video later if it works or whatever.
Mhm.
So I do both. I poll with and without music, but yes, when there's music and you sort of surrender to it, the flow gets better, and I think that shows when we're doing our transitions, when we're doing our poses on the pole and the routine. So music, of course, is it inspires you to sort of create your own flow and freestyle also at times. I love like love songs and slower numbers. Something that I can feel. So that is something that I usually turn to for my pole routines when I'm using music. A lot of people sometimes they like the more pumpier music and stuff, like you hear in a gym and stuff like that. But for me, I think I prefer the slower songs, whether it's even Hindi, indie pop maybe, or Lady Gaga songs like the one I chose for my pole comp
Oh,
routine.
yeah,
So
competition.
it's like when I hear a song when I'm on YouTube or whatever, and it sticks in my head, I know that I want to pole to this. So I make a note of the song, and that's when I start thinking of, what kind of moves can I put together. Or if I'm on Instagram and I find, a lovely video by another poler, I'll save that to try and, put that together on this song. So yeah, it works both ways. But there are times, like I said, where I just go for it and I don't need music because I think I'm just so in tune with the pole and what I'm doing that I don't really need it sometimes.
Nice.
So yeah.
So, okay. So now coming to last segment is
Yeah.
one question that always comes in mind. You had a coach that you went to, and then you went to Dubai to get more coaching,
Yes.
and you have your own studio, which is four poles, and where
Yes.
you are an instructor and a coach now.
Yes. Yes.
What is the role of a coach in this journey? Is from the choreography to mental routine to physical routine to getting you in the whole shape and making sure it
Yes.
happens. What is the role of a coach and how to become one?
So, I think the first role of a coach is to understand where the student is at and to help the student build his or her foundation. Because I believe like without a strong foundation, you cannot progress. I see a lot of people being in a rush. Because obviously with social media, it gets very competitive. You're like, oh, this one is doing that. I want to try that
Mhm.
and I want to do that. But that's where I think a coach can come in and step in and say like you need to work on this to be able to do that injury free, and safely. So that is a very important thing, that I think a coach comes in: one, building the foundation, understanding where the student is, three, motivating the student, and pushing the student, of course, to push her own limits, but while training safely. So
Mhm.
and the coach, a good coach is also someone who obviously motivates you mentally and physically. And I also am very particular about technique and forms, since I have suffered an injury before, and there wasn't someone
Yes.
uh, in a position to have corrected me that time, I guess. Maybe because obviously the knowledge of pole was not as much at that time. Uh, but yeah, being able to focus on technique, because that eliminates the risk of injury to a large extent.
Yes.
See, injuries can happen in any sport, it can happen any time in life. But if you can sort of reduce that for someone, I think that's you're doing someone like you're really helping someone at that point, when you're doing that. And yeah, so safe training, motivation, and understanding what each student needs, I think that is what is very important. And patience. So I never thought I would have the patience initially to teach, but it plays such an important role. But I also think that patience comes because I love it when my students achieve
Yes.
tricks and when they progress, and I love seeing their love for pole. So that sort of just gets in the patience and the motivation for me to give my best to each student. So yeah.
Excellent. And as an athlete, we wish you so much that you're going to have the level 4 and
Yes.
more, and
Yes.
hopefully we get to see you India wear India jersey if it comes to Olympics.
Oh,
From India, we just wish to see that, and I think we wish you all the best for getting your students to participate in different tournament, because
yes.
this sport is, as we spoke earlier, it needs visibility. It
Agree.
needs to break the barriers. It needs to
Yes.
have a nice balance of what it can do
Yes.
wonders to your mind, body, at the same time representation. I think it is
Yes.
phenomenal, Nupur. I think amazing journey that you have had, and wish you all the best for more and more.
Thank you
And
so much.
I think we should come and celebrate at Mr. Rabbit.
Definitely, please do. Please.
Yes, sure.
Yes. Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
Nupur. Wonderful having you here, and
Thank you.
look forward to talk to you soon and meet you soon.
Yes. I absolutely enjoy talking to you about pole. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Take care. Cheers.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for liking, thank you for sharing, and thank you for watching. Please do subscribe on our channel Sportsy Says and help us spread the word about Sportsy. We are trying various ways to get more and more visibility towards sports and a very ecosystem of sports. Please follow Sportsy Says across all the social media platforms. Help us spread the word about Sportsy. Let's talk sports. Do subscribe to Sportsy Says.